I'm going to show you how to build a ladder. The ladder stitch is generally used most often as a basis for other stitches. And basically what you need to do is you want to stitch together the beads so that they sit side by side in such a fashion. And usually this kind of thing is used as a basis for other stitches. I use it most often when I'm doing herringbone. So all we have to do is figure out a way to stitch these together so they sit nice like this, so we can do our herringbone. So I'm going to build a 2x2 ladder because it's easier, especially if you're working with very small beads, it's easier to hold it 2 beads high than just 1 bead. I'm working today with plastic pony beads, so they're quite large on camera. These aren't nearly as hard to handle. The first step is to pick up 4 beads. So I'm picking up all the beads for the first 2 stacks. And then I go through all 4 beads again. Okay, there's all 4. Now, you pull the thread tight, and you see you have 2 stacks next to each other. I have the thread, both threads on the same side, and I want your working thread to come from the other direction. So I'm going to go through those first 2 beads one more time. Okay, so now I have my thread coming from the same stack in opposite directions. Now I'm going to do 2 beads of one color and then 2 stacks of another color. So I'm going to go to my next color. I'm going to pick up 2 purple beads and then going the same direction. So I'm coming out here, I want to come out there again. So I'm going to pick up my 2 beads and then I'm going to run my needle through those 2 beads again so that I'm coming out in the same place, and when I pull it tight they're going to sit right next to those first 2. Now go again through the 2 beads that you just added. Okay, now in order to keep this consistent, I'm going to flip it so you're doing exactly the same thing on the next stitch. Otherwise you have to reverse directions. So I pick up 2 beads, I go through those 2 that I'm just coming out of, I pull it taut so they sit next to each other, and you can kind of, position them with your fingers, and then go through those 2 beads you just added one more time. Okay, I'm going to create this so it's 8 beads long and 2 beads high. So I go back to my orange beads. I'm going to flip it, go through those last 2 beads again in the same direction, get your 2 beads up there standing right next to it, and then go through those 2 beads one more time. So now I have 5 beads. I'm going to flip it over, 2 more orange beads, go through those last 2 beads in the same direction again. Once you get past that first step, it's the same motion over and over. And then go through those 2 beads again. Okay, now this time I'm going to show you how you would do it if you don't flip it, if you're just going to hold it in one position. Now I'm going to switch back to my purple beads. I go pick up 2 beads, I go through those last 2 beads, I pull it tight, and then I go through those 2 beads. Now my thread's coming out of the bottom. I'm not going to flip it. I'm going to pick up 2 beads. So instead of coming up, we're going to go down because that's the way the thread's going. So I'm going to go down. If this confuses you, just ignore this last stitch and do it the other way. Flip it over. Okay, so now I have my ladder, 2 beads high, 8 beads long. That's your ladder. And you can use that to create your herringbone or other stitches. You can do square stitch based off of this as well.